Today we're reviewing the PowerA Fusion Pro 2. Much like the original, this one's got fishing weights inside of it. With paddles that look like Freddy Krueger finger banging a prom date, this thing's ready for business. The business of degrading reliability at a rapid rate. Three-way trigger stops that don't really cut out any of the trigger pull. Rubberized grips. I don't like using rubbers, period. It's wired only, so if you're into autoerotic asphyxiation, you have an extra cable. And best of all, PowerA fixed none of the quality control issues that the community was bitching about, but has the sack to charge an extra $10 for this bad boy. Let's get it. Now, in preparation for this video review, I did something I don't usually do prior to my controller reviews, and I watched a bunch of other reviews on YouTube, and there were a lot of people that actually give this controller a lot of praise.
Do I think this is worth it? Absolutely. Go ahead and do it. 90 bucks. This is the Elite Killer right here. The Elite Killer.
Really, bro?
Extremely nice. And again, like the value proposition, I mean, the fact that a $60 and a $90 controller can punch really hard and way above their weight class in terms of price up against custom controllers for a very reasonable price to have a ton of features, and in some cases more features than some Xbox custom controllers.
Are you getting paid by PowerA? I think the issue with a lot of these controller reviewers is that they just don't have a lot of experience with a lot of other controllers. They've only tried maybe 4 or 5 controllers. They haven't reviewed 3 dozen plus premium controllers. Now, I'm not flexing on these YouTubers by any means whatsoever. I'm just trying to comprehend in my noggin, just pump a couple neurons here to try and figure out why any of these tech reviewers, gamers, or YouTubers genuinely do think this is a good controller. Now, the general consensus in the gaming community is that this is a relatively poor controller, as they're charging originally $90. This is now like 75 bucks on Amazon, but originally the MSRP was $90, which is $10 more than the original Fusion, and they didn't fix any of the quality control issues. I think the only review that I genuinely resonated with and agreed with was Vcuda, which is no surprise because generally him and I are on the same wavelength. Our cycles are aligned.
Look, oh, I need a new Xbox Series X controller. Let me get this. No, don't buy this. Use your Razer Wolverine. Use your Elite Series 1, your Elite Series 2, your fucking Fusion Pro OG version, your Strike Pack Eliminator, your Strike Pack Dominator, literally anything.
By the way, him and I chat in Discord quite a bit, and we might be collaborating here in the near future. Keep your peepers, Visine them. Keep your eyes lubricated for that video. I'm gonna lay you out on my table here, not for anything frisky, but so we can unbox and review this bad boy. The PowerA Fusion Pro 2. So mathematically, this has got to be twice as good. I was not a fan of the PowerA Fusion Pro 1. I just didn't resonate with it. That's a very articulate way of saying it was a sack of dicks. Now, even though the controller might not look like a burlap sack full of schmeckles, it performs as such. And for $80, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Kevin, there's really nothing in that price point that competes. You're right, actually cheaper. The PowerA Spectra can be had for $35 on Amazon and has 2 remappable paddles. Granted, I understand that's not 4. There's the Vader 2, which I've reviewed on this channel, which is about 55 bucks. And if you need something that works on Xbox Series and 1, there are a ton of nameless generic controllers on Amazon for 50 to 60 bucks that perform better. However, I want to go over the changes between the Fusion 1 and the Fusion 2. First of all, they did add a share button over here, which is a nice addition. This does work with an Xbox One or Series. With the latest patch or update of the software, whenever you press the share button, you will save yourself a clip. So if you bust a 360 no scope or a slide cancel and then drill somebody in the face, instead of having to press the Xbox button and the concurrent face button to save a clip or screenshot, you can stay in the game and not have to pause. I really do like that. This little niblet down here, I think that's the actual official term, is a niblet, controls the 3.5mm headphone jack. You can turn up and down the game sound, and pressing in will actually mute your microphone. That is a very welcome feature. Instead of the triggers being completely slick plastic, there is now this little rib design, ribbed for her pleasure. These aren't rubberized and they really don't provide much grip at all, so this is kind of a useless feature. Also, the rubber compound that they use in these grips is now slightly less grippy, however more durable. You do now have a second faceplate option, an all black version. And this bad boy does rock USB-C versus micro USB. That is also very welcome. However, other than that, they changed virtually nothing internally. I did do a full teardown of the Fusion 1. I'm not going to do one on this because I have watched footage of other people tearing down this controller, and guess what? The same internals are there, including those weights. Blocks are in here. They look like they might just be weights or something. I don't know why they would want their controller to be heavier than it needs to be. Wow, that's literally what it is. This is just a weight. I shit you not. This is just, ooh, almost dropped it. This is a lead weight. It's very heavy, obviously. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it seem like it's, real good build quality, real durable because it's heavy. Yes, there are weights inside this controller, which is completely deceptive because it gives you the inclination as the consumer, the gamer, the controller aficionado, when you pick it up and you feel a hefty controller, that there's premium build quality and it's going to be durable and rugged. and there's good high quality components and plastics on board. Then there's controllers like the Recon Revolution, which I have reviewed, which have weights. However, they are removable, and it's an actual feature that you can dial it in for the exact weight that you like. This just throws in a couple of fishing weights, like literally they're like sinkers that you would go fishing with your dad on the old dinghy. Slap them in here. Don't mention anywhere that there are weights in there, just to add a couple of extra grams of weight, which is ridiculous considering this is a wired only controller, so it should be very light because they do not need to have a Bluetooth or wireless 2.4 gigahertz module to have the wireless connectivity, so wired only controllers in essence should be very light. Mini rant over, but that's just stupid and poor business practice. How about included accessories in the box? Thank you for asking. So the box itself is huge. I love a good box and I love tearing into it. Now I will say the box is actually really cool. Cosmetically, it is a very visually appeasing box. You've got these cool graphics on here that really scorch your corneas and let you know that you got a hell of a product. Honestly, if the product was as good as the actual packaging it came in, we'd be onto something here. Now there's no laser cut foam or anything. You just have a plastic tray that holds your controller case. This little documentation that plopped out is your instruction manual. I don't know how to read, so I'm going to set that back in there for now. You don't have to read to be a YouTuber. It does help to be able to correspond with companies for sponsorships and to send products for review, but big words over 2 syllables, they do get me. So in this little pouch, you are going to have a couple of stickers, and I do have to say they actually do look cosmetically appealing to the corneas. Bam. Look at that happy guy right there. That's a pro gamer. Then you have your instruction booklet over here. I'm a bit of an instruction manual connoisseur or snob, so we'll see if this bad boy tickles my jiddly bits. And it does, absolutely. So full color pictures in here, very instructive, very informative, actually breaks down the functionality of the controller. So you do have this nice little case here, and I did use the word nice, and it genuinely is. You have a metal pull tab here, a little bit of orange around the zipper. I'm an idiot, it was already open. Then you do have 2 slots for your analog sticks, which I think is a fantastic design, and a cutout here for your cable instead of having a net on the top like most controller cases, which is great because that's a funky design, because when you close the case, it's putting pressure on your thumbsticks. And considering all these controller companies source their thumbstick modules from the same company, I can't think of the name right now. I want to say either Axis or Tom's, but this is a really smart design to have the cable down here and the little cutouts for the analog stick to kind of postpone the inevitable stick drift that might happen 4 months later or 4 years down the road. Now this is the other faceplate over here, and this one does have a rubberized texture, which is the identical material silicone compound that is on the back there. And both of these faceplates do have anti-friction rings that'll glide the thumbstick along smooth plastic when you are at full lock, so that has a very nice feature. You do also have 2 additional thumbsticks. You have a short and medium concave stick in there, and then the 2 that I have on there currently, a short concave on the left, and the highest possible stick, which is a dome tip on the right. Now, my biggest gripe with the PowerA Fusion Pro 1 and 2 is the fact that on the box, marketing-wise, there are some phenomenal features that get people thinking, damn, that's a hell of a bang for buck for $80, right? That's a great value. But they all have little issues, quirks, or shortcomings that make them inevitably a nuisance or hassle and almost like they should not be on the controller, period. For example, the most important part of any esports or premium controller is going to be the rear buttons or paddles, and this paddle design is completely and utterly horrible. It feels ergonomically terrible in the hand, and the main reason for that would be that it is incredibly high off the rear shell, which means you're going to get a lot of false actuations, i.e. accidentally hitting these paddles, because they don't require much resistance to hit, and they're absolutely huge. These are like the size of a wing on a Boeing 747. And these ones up here, these look like Freddy Krueger's knuckles. And they feel like it too. They are jagged. They're not very rounded and smoothed out like the Elite 2 paddles or any of the other controllers that use aluminum removable paddles. They just don't feel good. And the biggest issue with these is going to be long-term durability. Because this little module here is plastic, what happens is through regular usage, you're actually eating down this plastic here, and then eventually these get super wobbly, which, by the way, these are very wiggly right out of the box, but they get more and more wiggly and wobbly, and eventually they just start like popping out on you and getting all whoppy-jawed in there, and that's just not good. Whoppy-jawed. Where did I pick that word up from? Must have been from one of my country buddies, because us city slickers, we don't use that kind of jargon or lingo, that's for sure. Paddles just feel very mushy and not tactile or clicky whatsoever. It is a membrane mechanism in there that actuates the switches, and you can feel how slippity-sloppity it is. A little sloppy-toppy action there. I don't like that at all. And then 3-way trigger stops. Awesome feature. The Elite 2 has 3-way trigger stops, and I love them because they actually work. When you are on the highest setting, it cuts out about 95% of the trigger pull to where it is a actual hair trigger. And then when you're at the middle setting, it indeed cuts out about 50% of the trigger pull. On this bad boy, the difference between a full trigger pull, a full linear squeeze, so maybe you're playing a racing game or something, to the middle section here, that cut out about 15% of the trigger pull. Why even have that middle step? Oh, marketing. That's right. So you can say that you have 3-way trigger stops instead of actually implementing good trigger stops. And then the full pull, that's still a lot of trigger pull. That's a lot of dead slop to pick up on a trigger when you're trying to bust off quick shots with a semi-automatic weapon. Am I right, boys and girls? Stallionettes, 5% of my viewership. Ladies, the fairer sex. Tacos, not burritos. All right, so what do I like about this controller? Because I don't hate this thing. Well, I do, but I don't hate everything about it. The included thumbsticks, I actually really do like the rubber or silicone compound that they use on this dome stick over here. I would like them to include the option of 6 swappable thumbsticks, not 4. The golden standard is 6. Most premium and custom controllers come with 6, so including 4 is kind of a slap in the tuchus and a pinch on the foreskin, in my opinion, especially when 3 of the options are literally just short, standard Xbox One thumbsticks. The only one that's really an aftermarket stick would be this medium dome stick, which, like I said, does feel really good. That's why I have it on here currently. Other than that, the face buttons actually do feel a little bit more tactile and clicky than a standard Xbox One controller. It is still membrane switches, so there's a rubber plunger. If you were to disassemble this, you would see a rubber plunger underneath here, but like I said, they actually do feel pretty darn good. I do like the addition of the share button and this microphone control down here. I like the anti-friction rings, and I do like the magnetized swappable faceplates, being able to customize not only the aesthetics, but that's also how you swap your thumbsticks. Another thing I really do like about this controller is you have a 2-year warranty. Now, that's not 3 years, that's not 5 years, that's not 10 years. I understand how the numerical system works, but that is a lot better than the 6 months that you get with Hex Gaming and Scuff and a lot of other companies. Better than the 1 year that you get on... No, AIM has a lifetime. Never mind. That's a long time. Lifetime. But a lot of companies offer a 1 year or a 6 month. 2 year, that's actually pretty good. You're going to need it, though, because, you know, this plastic gets eaten up. Now, this is wired only. I'm not going to get into my whole spiel about that. If you've watched any of my previous controller videos, you know how I feel about that. But just to summarize, if you're playing on PC, fantastic. You're already sitting 3 feet in front of a tower. However, casual console players, you're probably sitting on the couch in the living room, or maybe cuddled up with your significant other in the bedroom, playing some video games before you conk out, wrestle your old lady to sleep, right? You know, being tangled up in a wire, especially if you got kids and pets that they're clumsy, their brains are small, so they might trip over the cord or whatever. Then there's the whole input delay, zero latency, plugging in with a cord, I'm an esports athlete argument. Only 1% of gamers are actual professional esports athletes, so the fact is you're probably not going to notice a couple of milliseconds of input delay. And I do say a couple of milliseconds because that is literally what it is. The last 7 or 8 years, wireless technology has gotten so good with the Bluetooth 5.0 that the PS4 and 5 use, as well as the dedicated 2.4 gigahertz connection that the Xbox Series and One use, to where it's pretty fucking fast. So it would be nice if this was wireless. However, that's not going to be a thing for 2 reasons. 1, they're building a budget controller, so they're trying to cut down costs. And 2, they could not get the licensing because PowerA does not have a sponsorship with Xbox. Yes, it says on the box this is a licensed Xbox controller, and it is, but they could not get the licensing for the wireless connectivity. Those are literally the 2 reasons that companies go the wired only route versus wireless. And then they will market it as being for competition use. It's wired, baby, 0 lag. You got to be smarter than these companies. You really have to as a gamer, or you're just going to spend all your money on stupid products. Hopefully you watch my videos so you don't. You can save your shekels in your coin purse and leave a couple of ducats in your back pocket for a rainy day. But the thing is, like I mentioned, there are controllers $35 to $50 that have 2 or 4 remappable rear buttons or paddles that feel ergonomically better and won't get eaten up over time and then render themselves useless. There are companies that have legit 2 or 3-way trigger stops that work. Let's get this bad boy hooked up to the Xbox Series X, shall we, boys? I don't know why this thing is bad or why it's a boy. I generally don't assume the gender of my controllers. I don't know. Looking at the nether regions here, I can't really tell what this thing is. That's clumsy. That's a clumsy design. Remapping the paddles on the PowerA Fusion Pro 2 is incredibly simple. I was dropped on my head as a child and I was able to figure this out. So you're going to hold down the button on the back, which of course is the remapping button. You're going to hold that down for about 3 seconds and you are going to get an LED light start to flash right there in the... can you see that? Yeah, right there. Then you're going to press whatever face button you want to bind and whatever paddle you want that bound to. The only natural thing would be for me to continue doing that for the remainder of the paddles. As a pro gamer dude, I was able to remap all those paddles in about 3 seconds flat. So these paddles are already super wiggly out of the box, so I know over time that plastic module will get eaten down. These are going to be extremely unreliable. That was the problem on the PowerA Fusion 1. Not to mention there was a lot of trigger issues, and since they're using the exact same trigger system, besides that little bit of texturing they put on the outside of the plastics, they didn't do any quality control fixes, which is a real slap in the ass cheeks considering they added a share button and a couple of other janky features and had the nuts to charge $10 more, but didn't change any of the major issues that the community was actually complaining about. Fuck yourself. Sensitivity, we're at a 6.5, 6.5 with look acceleration at 4 over the default of 2. And then our axial dead zone on the right stick is 0, 5.5 on the center dead zone. I can probably go lower than that as long as these thumbstick modules don't have drift out of the box, but they very well might have a slight degree, so that's when we'll bump this value up slightly. So in performance mode, this will hit 120 frames per second on the X. I also do have a Series S in the bedroom, and that will only hit 60 at its highest, or 30 when you're in quality mode. This is 60 frames at quality, but with ray tracing and a bunch of other bullshit on, graphical fidelity set. Actually, I don't think this game has ray tracing, never mind, but a lot of other graphical fidelity settings, texture packs, etc. We'll go performance, since I'm all about that nitty-gritty squeeze-a-titty performance. I will say these thumbsticks actually do feel pretty good. I wish they were a little bit longer. I like a pretty damn long stick, and I don't believe these are compatible with Control Freaks. I'll put on screen right now if they are or not, but since they are not standard Xbox One thumbsticks, I don't think they are. Hop in, boys! Let's go take it to the Covenant. Oh, that's a bit of a drive. This is gonna be a long video clip I'm gonna have to edit through later. Actually having to work for this channel, damn. You hate to see it, but you love to be it. Put that on a Nike shirt. Get wrecked. R-E-K-T, wrecked. Spelling Bee champ, 1994. Holy mother of God. Yep, those Fox shocks are really doing their job. The Olin's oil-filled shocks, they're really soaking up the bumps of this hot terrain. By the way, if you don't follow me at Facebook Gaming, I am a partner over there and I do upload gameplay footage damn near daily. This PowerA Fusion Pro 2 is making me a pro gamer. Pro gamer move, watch out, it's coming for you. Oh.
I think that's all of them. Let me know if you need support.
He's like a bra, always offering to give me support, and I appreciate that. So my final conclusion with the PowerA Fusion Pro 2 over here. Well, it's a waste of money. Let's go ahead and share my... One of the paddles just fell off right now as I was talking to you guys. By the way, when I say you guys, I'm using that as a unisex term, as I am inclusive of all the stallions and stallionettes in the stable. Having covered my ass with the PC police, sharing my screen over here, you will see that the Fusion Pro 2 now goes for a whopping $63, dropped from its original of $90, probably because people weren't buying it because they wisened up and realized that this is a waste of money. There's even some used options over here, 19 of them to be specific, starting at $50. You know what's a better option? If you just drag your mouse wheel a couple clicks down here, the PowerA Spectra Enhanced over here. This is a $30 controller over here, and you have two buttons that actually do feel ergonomic and are a lot more durable because they're sunken in or flush with the rear shell. They're not going to snap off or anything. And you don't have the trigger stops, but hey, guess what? The Fusion Pro 2 might as well not have trigger stops because they don't work. You're still getting the share button and that microphone control module or knob, which is great. They also have different colors. Very nice, very nice. Oh, this one's flashy. Look at that. My goodness. Now, the Vader 2 over here, which I've reviewed on the channel, only works with PC and mobile. It doesn't work with any of the consoles, but if you're only a PC player, I don't mean to say it degrading like that, like only a PC player. I mean, shit, it's the master race, for God's sake. That sounds incredibly racist when people say that, the PC master race. I don't know if I like that, but anyway, the Vader 2 over here, this is a real banger of a controller for the price. What other good wireless, relatively inexpensive controllers can you get? Now, this is $140, which is obviously more expensive. However, this is a hell of a lot more controller. I just reviewed this on the channel probably about 3 weeks ago. That video will be linked in the description below. My highest recommendation for a wired controller retails for $100, which is only $10 more than the recommended MSRP of the PowerA Fusion Pro 2, and that is going to be the Victrix Gambit, which they might even have some used ones for cheaper. Let's see. No, because nobody's trading this controller in because it's really good. Xbox Paddle controller. Does this have rear buttons? I don't know because there's no pictures of the back of it. I need to see it from the back, sweetheart, to know if I want to give it a taste or not. Oh yeah, oh my goodness, how did I forget? I feel like a real dum-dum with cheese. So I got sent this controller by Turtle Beach before it actually released to the public. I got it about a month prior to its actual public launch and was able to do a early review of this controller. This is a great option too, $60. I think this one has 2 paddles, not 4. Or rear buttons, I should say. This was a hell of a good controller as well because you have that module up there, which basically gives you all the audio effect suites and equalizer modes that you get from Turtle Beach headsets. And those grips actually did feel really good. That's another sick little option for you as well. And then obviously, if you're not on a budget at all and you're willing to spend $150 to $250 for a controller and you're just buying the PowerA Fusion Pro 2 because you heard it's a great controller, then there's dozens of better options out there from AIM, Hex, Scuff, etc. I'm just looking for some real cheap. You can also get something like a strike pack and just modify your existing controller. That's a good option for you as well. Oh my lord. Yeah, this is usually a $160 controller all day, and it's actually a good controller for that price. But the original Wolverine Ultimate over here is now $90 because it's been replaced by the Chroma V2 Wolverine. Weird naming convention over there. But yeah, this is now $90, and this has 4 paddles, trigger stops that actually work pretty good, interchangeable thumbstick and D-pad, those mechanical face buttons that only Razer does, which are really clicky, and they also last for millions of clicks, which is fantastic. You have that amplifier block with controls for your headset. Yeah, so just some really good options for you that all add up to not buying the PowerA Fusion Pro 2. Just a whack-ass controller overall. This would probably get my Dundee award for like the shittiest controller on the market. It's bad, just across the board. It's just a bad controller. That's gonna do it, Stallions. If you enjoyed this honest controller review, go ahead and lube up your thumb all the way to the knuckle and shove it directly on the like button. And if you enjoy this kind of content, such as honest peripheral reviews, keyboards, mice, headsets, controllers, as well as gaming news in the community and industry, go ahead and subscribe and smack the notification bell like it owes you money, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. I have a merch store. She's linked in the description below. I'm a Facebook gaming partner. Check me out over there. And join the community Discord. All these links that I'm spewing off, they're all down there in the description below. It's a fun place down there in the description section. You know what else is fun? The comments section. Get down there and tell me I look like I slept on my face or something. Peace.